What's up guys, my name is Sawyer Hartman and today's video is going to be super exciting because I have the brand new Canon G7X Mark III and today's the day we find out if this is the vlogging camera we have all been waiting for. So let's just kick off today's video. Welcome guys to the first ever episode filmed in my brand new office here on the island of Hawaii. But today is super exciting because one of the sponsors of this channel, Canon Cameras, has sent me their brand new G7X Mark III and I am so excited about this camera for a multitude of reasons. But literally anyone can sit here and run you over stats of a new camera. Instead, we're gonna actually take this camera 20 minutes behind the house, hike back to a waterfall, AKA we're gonna go play with the camera for a few hours, come back, and I'll tell you if it's worth you buying as well. All right, so we're like 10 minutes away from the waterfall. I'm with my buddy Strat. Strat's gonna be shooting all of the B-roll of me actually using the camera today. So if you're wondering how I got all these shots of me shooting this legend right here. But beautiful day for a hike in the backyard. I have no shoes on. This is my first official hike in Hawaii. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
A little over halfway there, we can hear the waterfall. I can see the water. We're making it. We have made it to the waterfall. So now that we're here, it's time we put this little G7X Mark III to the test, see what it can actually do. First off, now having gone and played with this camera for an entire day, I can honestly say this is probably one of my favorite cameras that I own. Like, even though this video is sponsored by Canon, all opinions are my own, and the G7X Mark III is everything that we've been waiting to come out for like years. And this camera honestly has a few features that I have been, and you have been, waiting for years. We finally have them. So without further ado, let's just dive into why I am fully backing the G7X Mark III. Now, one of the biggest problems for vloggers trying to shoot in 4K is that usually 4K is cropped in, which means you need wider lenses in order to hold your camera and get everything in, and it just creates like a whole mess of problems. I'm very happy to report that the G7X Mark III finally shoots 4K video at 30 frames a second with, wait for it, no crop at all, no crop factor. That is a task that even my 1DX Mark II and EOS R that I'm shooting on now cannot do. 4K, no crop in your pocket. That is huge. Now, while the addition of uncropped 4K was a big game changer, it's not nearly as big of a game changer as the inclusion of 120 frames a second at 1080p. Yes, that is right. You heard me. The G7X Mark III finally shoots 120 frames a second, a feat that up until now for Canon, only the 1DX Mark II could do. This feature instantly made this my new go-to vlogging camera. I'm not gonna wait and make you stay to the end of the video to figure out that feature 120, this with me 24/7 now. Having 120 frames a second in a camera this size means you can finally shoot cinematic slow motion B-roll with a camera that fits in your front pocket. Sold. Let's see what else it can do. A few more great changes to the G7X lineup is we now finally have a stacked 1-inch image sensor, which means we have 20.2 megapixel image. Pair that with the Digic 8 image processor, and basically what that means is you have one powerhouse of a camera for something this small. Now, the lens is truly praiseworthy as well. It's a 24 to 100 millimeter zoom lens, but at its widest 24, it's f1.8, and at its most zoomed in, it's f2.8. Those stats are like, those are really good if you don't know what they mean. This literally means you can shoot wide selfies, landscape shots, and then turn around and shoot really nice portraits and close-ups. You can even shoot macro shots with this same camera, and if that wasn't enough, you still have a 4.2 times digital zoom in case you have to get really close to something. So where the lens is concerned, this camera can pretty much shoot anything in any lighting condition. That 24 to 100 mil 1.8 to 2.8 doesn't even exist for bigger cameras. It's this alone. I'm impressed. I want it for my bigger DSLRs. Canon, you're obviously watching this. Can you make that happen? 24 to 100 mil 1.8 to 2.8. That is glorious. One very small thing to keep in mind, however, is shooting 120 frames or 4K for too long causes the camera to overheat a little. I only ran into it twice and I was shooting in 100-degree weather for multiple hours. It wasn't a huge deal, but the camera just had to cool down a second and then you were back to shooting. Now, they also threw in a couple features to this camera that I feel really optimized it for the vloggers. First off, the flip out screen is almost a necessity when it comes to capturing your life and the things around you. And secondly, the addition of the new on-screen record button actually is really appreciated. Now, for the first time ever, the G7X actually also has a microphone jack so that you can use external microphones, kind of like the one I'm using on my main camera right now. And if you weren't aware, audio is actually a huge deal in the viewing experience. We take in a lot more information through our ears than we think, and this can be proven by the fact that you can listen to the radio without seeing a picture, but you can't just watch your TV on mute. So it's safe to say at least 60% of our information is taken in auditorily. I hope that's a word. I'm going to say it with confidence as if it's a word, but if it's not, just rip me apart, whatever. Two more features that seem to be very targeted towards the vlogger, YouTuber community is the inclusion of vertical video now, which means you can turn your camera sideways, record in a vertical fashion, and send that straight to your phone so that you can post it. So there's that, and then there's also going to be live streaming directly to YouTube. Now, while this might not be a feature that I myself would use, this could be beneficial to a lot of creators who are constantly being tethered to a computer. The next stuff we'll get into about the camera are just little features that I genuinely find pretty cool. When you've been doing photography as long as I have, almost 20 years now, you realize that to take a good photo, all you need is a camera and a story. However, all of the features and additions and lenses only add to what you can create. They only take what you're able to do and bring it to a new level, so I love features. That was the entire reason I went on that tangent, is I love when cameras have cool little features. We have face detection autofocus, which works like a charm. We're pretty used to that on Canon's cameras. We have 4K time-lapse mode. We now have a built-in 3-stop ND filter, which means you can take 3 stops of light out of your image without affecting your settings, which is huge. Huge. But actually, most surprisingly to me is that this camera has the ability to now shoot 20 frame per second photos in RAW, which means if you thought was fast, this camera can now take 4 photos a second more than the 1DX Mark II. I don't even ask. I'm not sure how. Now, that might be overkill, but if you're shooting like wildlife or sports or photos that require you to capture a split second, having all of these photos to go back through and choose the perfect moment, that's a huge deal, and I'm pretty just genuinely impressed that this camera can do that. I mean, in conclusion, this camera honestly just really blows me away. If I had to find something bad to say about it, it would be nice if it didn't ever overheat, and if you could shoot 24 frames a second in 4K as well. But I mean, like, honestly, other than that, I'm so beyond pleased with this camera. This is my new go-to vlogging camera. This camera will probably be with me 15 hours out of every single day. This is like your sidearm. This is like your secondary. It doesn't matter what primary camera you're shooting on, or if this camera is going to be your only shooter. This camera is going to be something that most shooters choose to include in their kit, because this camera has a very special place in every filmmaker and photographer's life. This camera is exceptionally well at capturing moments and memories that will be gone before you know it, and if you were on anything bigger, you would have missed them. I 100% believe you could travel the world with this camera only and make incredible cinematic films, and no one would ever have any clue. So, it's safe to say that I'm very happy with this camera, and I'm very, very happy that I get to be happy with this camera, because we have been waiting for this camera for a long time. And I don't mean we've been waiting for the G7X Mark III. We've been waiting for a compact camera from Canon with these features. And we've gotten new ones, and they were never that camera, and now we have it. G7X Mark III, I'm stoked that I have this in my arsenal now. This, highly recommended. I also want to thank Canon Cameras for being a sponsor of this channel, as well as the manufacturer of, as you can tell, my favorite cameras. It's really, really cool that you guys like believe in me and trust me and support me the way you do. Childhood Sawyer at 10 years old shooting on an old school Canon Rebel X is just like super stoked. You have no idea. And remember, if there's ever anything specific about photography or filmmaking you want to know, please drop it in a comment below. I'll either answer you or make a video about it. But before you go, remember, stay motivated, stay inspired, and never stop creating. And I'll see you beautiful people in the next episode. Aloha.